Happy Saturday morning from Texas. Work week is done. Now the work weekend begins. Raise your hand if you've got a whole lot of work to do this weekend. That's me, building a fence and cutting grass and all kinds of stuff going on. Gonna be a busy day. It's gonna be hot. We finally got to that part of the year that I like. The rain stops, the sun turns it up a notch. We're looking at triple figures heading into this week. High 90s. It's already been that way, and most people complain about it. I like that. I don't mind getting a little sweaty. I don't mind getting sunburnt. I don't mind any of that stuff at all. Is it difficult at times? Yeah, but you know what? You work out in that stuff and you feel double accomplished at the end of the day. There's nothing better than a feeling in the summertime where you've been out in the sun and busting it and sweating it out, and then you go in, you take a shower, you hit the recliner, you kick back, you put on an old Western for a half an hour, eat some good fruit, some ice water, and revitalize and restart. I like that. So, I'll work hard to come to that place. There's a reward at the end of that rainbow. But anyway, yeah, it's Saturday. It's coffee time. And I went and did a half and half this time around. I've been bitching about the Folgers that I get to drink, my cheap decaf, but every once in a while I'll spike it with some chock full of nuts. That goes back to my youth. I've talked about that before. That's kind of like my coffee of choice. That's my baseline coffee. It's like when I drank beer. Budweiser was my baseline beer. There were some better, there were some worse, but that was the go-to. Chock full of nuts was always my go-to. And Karen and I found some in some store somewhere a couple of weeks back. She's been drinking that, and I'll mix it in with mine every once in a while, and it makes it a lot better. And if I do it just right, it'll actually amp me up a little bit, a little bit. Anyway, so we do what we do. Welcome to the weekend. I'm going to start playing a little guitar just to get warmed up a little bit more than I am. Because I did take a little bit of time to warm up. Hacking away at some songs that I haven't really played in a while. I was just trying to put them back together again. My fingers are already kind of smoked, but we'll just get it cruising here. Here's a little bit of music for you all. Get your coffee up and we'll get your spirits up, all right? That's a workout already. Before I even start my working day, I'm working out here, playing some music. Put that pick down for a second. You see the smoke coming off of my fingers and out of my armpit over here? Here's my guitar. This is nothing fancy, you know, this is nothing fancy. For all the years I've been playing guitar, I have not really shelled out for a top of the line like Marshall or Taylor or anything. This is just a middling, not even a middling Yamaha acoustic. What's the model? It is a FGX 700 SC. It's acoustic electric. It's got a little built-in EQ. I never plug it in. I never do, but I have that ability if I should ever want to for whatever reason. Just out here doing a little quick picking and fun strumming like that old TV commercial used to do. What was it? Roy Clark was selling some kind of a music education book back in the 70s. Whether you want to do some quick picking, and then he would go, or some fun strumming. Right? Roy Clark was great. I had no intention on talking about Roy Clark, but I'll tell you what, when I got my taste back for country music, he's a person that I wanted to see before I died. You know, maybe I go up to some casino or something and he'd be playing there all old. I don't know that I've ever seen a greater guitar player, a greater musician than him in general. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He always had that goofy look on his face, and he was a kind of pudgy, kind of moon-faced dude. It was hard to take him serious, but man, when he started ripping, he was incredible. He was incredible, and so I was looking him up. I remember this. I was following him around, trying to see where I might find him to play, and then the next thing I know, he up and died. This is going back, I don't know, 7, 8 years now. It's been a little while. Roy Clark was just great. He could play anything. He did play anything. Excellent. So what do we talk about? What do we talk about in a week where everybody's talking about the same thing? You know, after 3 months where everybody's talking about some other same thing all the time, over and over again. Why? Because we're getting it hammered into us, right? Constantly hammered it into us. Wherever you look, wherever you listen, it's the same old talk, it's the same old stuff, right? The news is being pounded into us. And, you know, now it's another one of those, I don't know if you call it like biannual, semi-annual, or every decade or so, but we always got this kind of incident where there's an uprising and people are marching in the streets and protest and riot. And glass is being broken and buildings are being burnt up. It happens. It's like the cycle of the culture in this country now. And, you know, I'm thinking about how it gets pounded into our head so continually, you know. Here's how I deal. All right? When I keep on hearing that same kind of negative information, that same kind of news, I mean, when I say negative, what I mean by it is, there's news in there that no matter who you are, no matter how you see things, right, you're apt to get pissed off. The natural reaction to the things that are going on, right, between a cop killing some dude in Minneapolis and then all the people uprising about that. Whoever you are, wherever you stand, the information involved is going to work at your anger. It's going to put a little Bic lighter under the tank of your anger, and that's what it's done. The temptation inside of every single one of us is to be pissed off and walking around pissed off and afraid, angry and afraid. You know, there's always a boogeyman around every corner. These are some of the things that are on my mind. And you know what? It ain't true, all right? The reality of my life is a lot different than the reality that I'm seeing on TV, and the reality I'm catching on the radio, and the reality I'm catching whispered by other people who are talking about this stuff. Is there a reason to be concerned and to be in discussion? Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. It's something that's going to be talked about for a long time. But when I say it's not my reality, I'm not saying it's not a reality. It's not my reality, okay? Though I live in a city, though I live in a county where there's a major city, Dallas, right? I'm not expecting to see these Antifas marching down my street and throwing bricks out windows here. Why? That's obvious, because they're out of their zone when they start coming into the neighborhoods. They are going to get met with resistance. So they play their games where everybody's behind them, where the mayor and the council members, all the politics in the city, in Dallas, and in a city near you. It's the same way. They go to where their liberal politicians are running things, and they're going to hold the police forces back. They're going to keep them down, and they're going to let these people do what they want to do. All right. And then the TV cameras are on them, and here we go. The TV cameras are on them, and all you're going to see on TV, if you're a TV watcher, which I'm not, right? I told you this before. One channel, Kara and I watch occasionally on the TV. It's called Grit, G-R-I-T. All they play is old cowboy movies. Old cowboy movies. That's all they do, 24/7. Cowboy movie, cowboy movie. Watch a little bit last night. John Wayne. Heck, how could you not like John Wayne, right? We joke about it. He's the same guy. Never changes his voice, never changes his clothes. He's just John Wayne. He walks into a different film, and whoever, he assumes a different name, so he's a different character, but he's always John Wayne. Never changes. It's like Jack Nicholson is always Jack Nicholson. I don't know. There's a type of actor. It's just their personality reigns. It rules the day, and they don't have to change nothing. They just get a script and they read it, and But it's funny about John Wayne. But still, you got to love him. And we assess. I do anyway. I talk to Kara about it. We watch all these different old cowboy movies with these different featured actors. Morning, Keith Gill. And I judge the actors and their movies by who's got the best punch, right? Who's the best punching cowboy Western movie star? And John Wayne, hands down, is the best. He just rears back, clocks a guy, and he's out. He's out like a light. And it looks like he's really hitting him for real, There's other guys, we joke, like Randolph Scott. He's somebody I wasn't really familiar with. I should have been. He's a little bit old. He goes back, Well, he's no older than John Wayne, really, maybe a little bit, but he gets in fisticuffs and he goes and hits somebody, and a big dude, like he looked like a girl when he's throwing a punch, and it's kind of funny. We joke about that, but I'm going way off topic here. What I got to and what's on my mind is what's on everybody else's mind, but I'm talking about the fact of having some kind of civic incident, some kind of social concern that is going on, and it becomes like the collective focus of our entire hive of humanity, because whoever has the power to create the focus hones in on that one thing, right? For months, the only news you hear is coronavirus, coronavirus, coronavirus. Now something, as coronavirus is starting to peter out, something else comes up, and the focus is dead on that until it peters out. And it will peter out. It won't be long from now, right? It's already been a week or a little bit more. It's going to be gone before you know it. And it's going to be talked about in ancient history, just like all the other, Rodney King and all the things that have happened in the past 50, 60 years that are similar to this. They come and go. They come and go. The names may change, but it's still the same old, same old. But the focus, right? The focus, the fact that everybody's got this stuff on their mind isn't by mistake, right? We're focused in on this as if it is everywhere, It's like you can't help when they fire up your fears and they fire up your anger, thinking that, you walk down the street in your very own neighborhood, and under every rock and behind every tree there's some idiot, with a black mask on his face, dressed in black, under, just hiding out there under every rock. I'm gonna get you, I'm Antifa. And it ain't like that. How many do you know personally, right? Right? I don't know anybody who's like that, I don't know a whole lot of 30-somethings and 20-somethings and teens and things like that, but I don't know any. I don't know of any. But every single one of them, they can jam into a city. You can get 1,000 of these guys from all over the United States and plunk them down in the middle of the center of any city in this country, and it looks like a big old thing going on. 1,000 people is a lot of people, right? But man, there are 1,000 out of how many millions around DFW? We've got 15 million people or more, It's a little tiny bit. But they're right downtown, up front and center, in a place where there's no resistance, and they got all the cameras on them. So it's all over the TV, and that's all you see. It's all you see, and you start to think it's everywhere. And it's not just this, it's everything in general. Who gets all the TV time, and why does TV time suck so much, right? I'm a Christian man. You don't find nothing Christian on TV. We had the Robertsons out there in Monroe, Louisiana. Duck Commander, Duck Dynasty, all that. You had some Christians who would bring Jesus into the discussion. They'd bring prayer to the dinner table, and it's a wonderful thing. And I have the highest regard and respect for them people. But there's that, and then there's what? Nothing else. You get a couple of Christian channels on the cable networks that are, I consider them highly questionable. It's all televangelists. I can't trust a televangelist. They're out making money. I don't even want to get into that, but I'm of the faith. And if I watch TV and everything is pointing to Jesus, guess what I'm thinking about all the time? I'm thinking about Jesus all the time. Does TV work that way for you? Doesn't work that way for me. Whenever I watch TV, it's talking about all the things that I don't even want to be thinking about. I don't need that stuff on my mind. And it's putting a magnifying glass on the littlest, tiniest things blown up to make the big thing. I think that there's an Antifa under every rock, and every other person is gay, and every other person is like on drugs and wired out, and every other person is some kind of criminal, and anything bad about society gets magnified by these TV cameras. And if you watch it and fill your brains up with it, and your buddy next to you does the same thing too, then you're having conversations about it, and you start getting wrapped up in these little minuscule thing, where in comparison, there's so much else other that is actually good, right? We go into our nature again, good and evil. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of evil. And if we're focused on the evil, it's going to fuel our anger, it's going to fuel our fear, and that's what it does. I got an answer to that. All of a sudden, when I find my mind running in that direction, I'm thinking, I go to my Lord. What's going on? And the answer I get from is not your reality. When it comes to your reality, I'll be there for you. And you'll know what to do. And believe me, in Texas, we know what to do. That's why I know Antifa ain't going to come marching up the street here. They're going to meet resistance, and they know it. They do what they do. They do what they do. They do how they do it. And I know why. I know why people are the way they are. I think in my life, when was I like a little Antifa type of person? The closest rendition of Bob that there can be to some kind of little Antifa dude, right? Would be when I was a young teenager, like 14, 15, 16, that area. I was really fired up. I hated everything. And why? Why did I hate everything? Because I'm going to tell you why. And I'm sure that this is at the core of what a lot of people think. Yes, people wax philosophical. It becomes what they believe, but there's underlying something about it. And I'll tell you my underlying something about it when I was a child, which I consider these people to be. I don't care if they're 30 or 25. They're children, right? They're children because they ain't grown up. When I was a child, when I was, say, 15 years old, and I hated everything. I hated, half the people watching here are going to come from my high school class. I was the most rebellious in high school. I was voted that by my class. All right? I was serious about being rebellious. It was who I was. And so I know a thing or two about it. And where did it come from? It's no different than the rest of my friends who were rebellious also, right? I decided that my way of life was going to be sex and drugs and rock and roll. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. That was my mantra. That was my philosophy. And who did I come to hate? Anybody who stood opposed to me. It makes sense, right? So I couldn't live my life with the greatest of ease because there were people of authority in the way, like my parents, like the teachers at school, like the police, like the government, right? The government who does all the legislation to make the rules that make the things that I want to do illegal, right? So when I break those rules, then I got law enforcement coming after me. And on the other side of it, I've got my own parents watching that I'm not ruining their lives. And I've got the teachers at school going to turn me into the police if they see me smoking weed, right? So there it is. The party. I was into the party, and people were getting in my way, and they pissed me off, and I rebelled, right? My taking of drugs at that age was a rebellion of itself, but then it grew exponentially when I realized that everybody was against or so many people in authority were against what I was doing. So that made the friction. And there was friction. There was heated anger. Man, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine one day about, hey, let's go down to Bridgewater Police Department and blow it up, right? Blow it up. Blow it up. I was planning in my mind exactly how to do it. That's how much the hatred was, right? Hated cops. Do I hate cops like that? No, I don't. What's the difference? What's the difference in my life? I stopped hating cops when I stopped doing drugs. It didn't happen overnight because there was a little leftover, right? But while I was on them, I hated cops. And when I got off, I started to respect and appreciate cops. And as I got older, cops are good. What I understand is not everybody is good all the time. Not everybody's bad all the time. And you have a cop get in a situation, having a bad day, and he's going to use his authority in the incorrect manner and do something he shouldn't. He becomes a tyrant, which I still hate. I don't like tyrants of any kind. That's what I really don't like. It's not that I don't like police. I don't like tyranny, right? If the cops are protecting my civil rights, if they're watching out for my well-being, they are friends of mine. It's when they cross me, right? Now, how are they going to cross me? A, by being tyrants. B, if I am criminal. If I am working against the law, right? I'm crossing them and what they represent, what they stand for. They're protecting society from somebody like me. They become my enemy, and I regard them at mine and in my actions and in my voice as the enemy, right? I create that friction. So I was a little Antifa that way. And you know, what happens from that point? When you have drawn that line between yourself and society. Now, philosophically, if you are so minded, you look at the philosophy of the society, our Constitution here in America, and then you decide that's adding up to being your enemy, so now you want to go to something different. And here's where their communism and socialism and fascism and all that kind of crap comes in. They're standing against America because they're standing for their drugs and their criminal behavior, right? And they want to discard everything that's American, thinking that all this other utopian crap is actually going to benefit them. It's going to be worse. They don't realize it because they are children. What will happen when the socialists and the communists comes in, they're going to take the drug addicts and they're going to take the homosexuals and they're going to string them up on the telephone wires and hang them out in public display. Because they don't want them people around. They're just using them right now. They're just using them right now. But you know, history will dictate. History will dictate exactly what those kind of governmental systems will do. They are tyrannies. They are authoritarian. And you're going to get your comeuppance if you support that stuff. One way, shape, or form. You know, so all right, have your time. Have your party, break some windows, smoke some weed, impress your friends, and go back into your little corners, go back into your mother's basement, right? And then come out next year with some other thing. But if you start coming out into these neighborhoods where you're going to meet with resistance, you're either going to be dead or you're going to become an adult really quick, one or the other at that point in time, right? So anyway, yeah, there's me on my soapbox, but I guess everybody's got the right to voice their opinion. This is going to end. What matters for you and for me is that we focus on our own reality, okay? Antifa and all that stuff is not our reality. My reality is Jesus Christ and working with others. That's what my reality is. My reality is my wife. My reality is my job. My reality is my commute. My reality is my animals. The things that I am responsible for, the things that I engage with every single day is my reality. How do I stay focused on that? Well, I'm a Christian man. So my first point of focus, my assimilation point in getting my own mind right is to look to Jesus in all this. I look to Jesus. I've got the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the sovereign God of everything, right? There's nothing to worry about. And he's gave me, you know, he's afforded me all the guns and ammo I could ever need to defend my house. And I've got neighbors and I've got family in the neighborhood who are the same mind, you know. You can't, there's like 20, 30 houses on this block. You know how many rounds of ammo are going to be waiting for people to come down here? They don't have a chance, and they know it, and they won't bother. They won't bother. This is going to pass. This is going to pass, and it's going to go away. Does it make anything better? You know, does it make the fact of what happened? Well, here's the thing. We don't even know the facts. So I'm going to get into playing some music, you know. I'll give you a little hint. It goes... There's more to the picture than meets the eye. Anytime this stuff happens, there's always more to it, right? We know that a cop killed a citizen, and it was on video, and everybody saw it. It was 8 minutes of police brutality, but there's more to that picture than meets the eye. There's more going on there than we know about, but everybody jumps quickly to conclusions and becomes crazy and irrational, right? But what's going to happen? Over time, more of that information is going to come out as the emotion of it all passes into the background and starts to fade away. And as that truth starts to come out more and more, it'll probably negate the emotion. It'll negate all the civic unrest. And nobody's going to want to talk about it because everybody's going to feel like an ass for doing something stupid. Right? That's how it goes. That's how it goes. We're going to find out more about the guy who was killed. We're going to find out more about the cop. And it's already started to happen, right? So we keep our mouths and keep our opinions to ourselves. You know, my only opinion is, hey, why are you being stupid? Why are you making all this disturbance? Why are you hurting people who have businesses and homes that they've saved up and sweated for and busted their butt for? Why are you doing that? Well, I know why, because I was one of them when I was a teenager. You know? Because they want the party. The old, what was it? The highwaymen, right? The road goes on forever and the party never ends. That's what I think in my mind. That's what they want. They want to have a party, and they want a government system and a police department that supports their party, not their political party. They're smoking pot and doing drugs party, you know, the fun. That's what they want. You know, they become criminal, and they have a criminal response to everything, and society responds to them like they're criminals. They start getting treated like they're criminals, and everything just escalates and escalates, and it's all stupidity, you know. The drugs alone that they're doing is going to someday, because they belong to Satan, right? They're going to someday come up and bite them on their own ass. It's the way it goes. I remember, man, when I was in my 20s, I remember going to an AA meeting, an old home group up there when I used to go, Friday night, Bound Brook. We had 10 people in the same room, 10 people that I used to party with in high school, right? We jam into the C-Wing bathroom and party it up. 10 of those people ended up in the same dang AA meeting. Not, 6 years later? 10! It was a pretty big meeting, but still 10 people that you grew up with end up with the same problem. That's what I say. It bites you on the butt anyway. Just leave these people to their own devices. Yeah, they'll break a couple of windows. Yeah, they'll destroy somebody's business and probably impact some lives negatively like that, but they're going to get theirs. You know, what goes around comes back around. It always does. It always does. So I was playing music. More to the picture than meets the eye, right? Neil Young. I usually go country on y'all, and I'll slide a little bit of old rock and roll type of stuff in every here and a while, but you know, I was thinking that during the week. There's obviously more to this than we know. And this is the first song lyrics that came to mind. I kind of think in song lyrics sometimes. So that's it. Out of everything that's said in this song, it's that one line really that kind of got me stirred. It up already. I forgot it how it went. keep losing my place in this song. I don't really have it in heart. I don't play Neil Young all that much. That song is actually so simple. It's too easy that my mind just drifts while I'm playing it and I just forget where I'm at. But yeah, that's a little bit of Neil Young right there. I got a little bit more too. Probably a better song. Equally easy and equally forgettable as far as playing it on the guitar. Maybe I'll get to that. Maybe I'll just try and get it out of the way right here. I don't know. Should I talk more? Should I get up on my soapbox? What else have I got to talk about? I pretty much already talked about half the things that I kind of jotted down. Now, oh, well, one thing. This is interesting. In all of the light of this civil unrest that's occurring right now. So I listen to the radio. I got an AM radio, and it's kind of like just getting a news thing as I commute, right? I generally listen to it as I commute. Occasionally, if news is imperative to my life, like if there's like storms, tornadoes, and things around like that, I'll put it on in the house also. But as I'm commuting back and forth to work, I get the news of the day off of an AM station, some talk radio thing, and they had some kind of montage going involving this current civil disturbance. And they had, recorded the voices of people involved and opinions and things like that. And there's just one angry person in the middle of it. It was like they recorded him raising up and saying, "And we're going to start a freaking utopia," And I'm like, what? Really, a utopia? Out of what you're doing here, you're going to get a utopia. Do you know what a utopia is? Do you know what it takes? Do you know it's impossible? I've talked about this before. I've come on here live and mentioned about utopia. Because the whole idea of socialism, communism, fascism, all these other isms that are not American, they are founded and sold on the idea of a utopia. Now, utopia is the idea of a perfect life. You can't have a perfect life for everybody because everybody's different, right? Everybody's different. What's good for one is not good for another. The best we could do is find some kind of common ground. That's why America is so great. You got a common ground where people can kind of carve out their own little slice of utopia. But it's not for everybody, You have the freedom to build your own little house and your own little property and work within those constructs to live the way you want to live in so much as it doesn't offend or oppose or affect the next guy, right? The idea of freedom is not that you're free to do whatever you want. You have freedom from tyranny. That's what freedom is here. I hope you understand that. If you don't understand that, dial it back a notch and get that in your head. This is not a free-for-all. You do not have freedom where you can just go around doing whatever you want to do. Now, I think a lot of kids believe that. They think that's what freedom is. Hey, I could do this, I could do that. But you're telling me I can't. You're making a law saying when I can't, but I have freedom. I can do whatever. No, it ain't like that. Your freedom is from tyrants, right? Tyrants. Anyway, but the guy's like, we're going to start a freaking utopia. Okay, because he's socialist-minded, he's communist-minded. And like I said, those are the selling points that older, wiser people, real scumbags, sell to kids, right? A couple of weeks ago I was talking about this, the way, rock and roll can never die, the song I was just playing. The thing about rock and roll is it becomes somewhere along the way music by adults that are targeted to children. And in a sense, it's some kind of spiritual pedophilia as far as I'm concerned, right? This is going back a couple of weeks where I was making comparisons to country music and rock, right? And look, I could back it up. There's Van Halen songs that talk about this very thing. David Lee Roth was still with Van Halen back in the day, late 70s into early 80s. He had songs that talked about creating songs for children, right? Selling it to the kids. Don't their business take good care of me, honey. I'm the one you love. Come on, baby, show you love. Oh, give it to me, right? You don't know that song? Well, Women and Children First, the whole concept. That was an album with a song. And what is it? They were selling to the women. They were selling to the children, right? I'm not trying to rip them for it. It just is what it is, right? And they were saying it the way it was. The rock music business was geared towards kids, and you can't deny that, right? It's the children that buy that stuff up, and that's fine when it's young people making it. Think of like Buddy Holly in the 50s. The guy was 19, 20, right? Waylon got into his band, Waylon Jennings, right? My man. He got into the band in an emergency situation. He got picked up to be a bass player. I don't know if you know the story, but he gave up his seat on the flight that killed Buddy Holly. But Waylon was only 18, 19 years old too. These guys were kids themselves. In that era of rock, Elvis was 18, 19, right? They were all kids, and they were singing the music of the kids. But now we've got to a point where you've got guys, you know, they stay in that genre, and when they're 30, and when they're 40, and when they're 50, they're still making music for who? The new generation of kids. That's who they're trying to appeal to and sell to. And I call it some kind of spiritual pedophilia, because why? They're working their ideas and their thoughts into the minds of children. Think about that. Or don't, whatever. It's up to you. You do have a mind of your own, after all, right? I hope so. I hope so. I hope you think for yourself. But yeah, utopia? Good luck with that, buddy. Good luck having a utopia. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. It's impossible. It's mathematically impossible to happen. Nobody's gonna be able to make a system that makes everybody happy, unless, you know, you get like this gigantic hookah out and all the hoses are hooked up directly into everybody's veins, and they're put on some kind of drugs where they don't know reality from non-reality anymore, right? And they're just there doing nothing, all right? Is that your idea of utopia? No. You're not going to be able to please everybody. In fact, what pleases you today won't please you tomorrow, and it won't please you 10 years from now. But you're a kid, you're a child, and you don't know. You don't know the effect of time on your own self yet. There's no utopia. This world's supposed to suck. You want me to get in a preaching mode? I'll get in a preaching mode. This world is supposed to suck by design. The best salesman of Christianity, the best salesman of Jesus Christ, is this shitty, rotten world all by itself. All by itself. You don't have to do nothing. You don't have to go up there with apologetics and try to convince somebody. Just leave them to their own devices. Here, have a bag of weed. Have a bag of cocaine. Here's all the liquor you need. Come back in 10 years. You're going to realize that this world sucks. And you need something. You know, there's got to be something more than this. I wrote a song, and I have no idea how it goes. I have song lyrics. I started to work out the music. But back in the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, I was in my 20s, mid to late 20s. And, you know, I was making music back then. Not very good, but it was something. But I had this one song that was called More Than This. And the whole idea was that there had to be something more than this, what I'm looking at. And that was kind of fun times back then. I was ready off the drugs and everything, but I was sober enough to like be somewhat sane of mind, and I was free enough to go out and just have a good time. And I pretty much was, you know, I was doing things, I was taking chances and having some misadventure. And even still, it just seems so hollow. Even still, it seems so empty. So more than this, there must be something more than this, something more, anything, something, you know. Those were kind of like the lyrics. That was kind of like the chorus section of the song. And what do I mean? Everything that you got in this world that you can use as a diversion, everything you got in this world that you could use for pleasure, never adds up to being enough. It's just never enough to fulfill a person. You're always reaching out for more. You know, it's like the more comfort food that you eat, the more is required, right? You get that sweet, sugary treat. You eat into it. For a minute there, you feel great. But then all of a sudden, it starts to work in your body, and it creates cravings for more, right? So you have more, and more is never enough. And as you eat more and more and more, you start to get fatter and fatter and fatter, right? And then you get more and more miserable and miserable and miserable. And it becomes this cycle effect. And that's the way the world works, right? The world is ruled, it's the dominion of Satan under the sovereignty of God. That's may be hard for some of you to understand. God has set up this world to be the way it is. And the world will speak for itself as a salesman for Christianity. The world is supposed to suck. Think about that, all right? But what I just described about your sugary treats, that's how the world functions. That's how it operates. You go reaching out for something pleasurable to make your daily grind feel better. And that pleasurable thing is going to demand more of you and more of you and more of you until there's nothing left of you. And then you start crying out for the Lord. You start looking for something more. And what is something more? Well, you could try this kind of religion and those kind of beliefs. You could try this self-help book and that self-help book. You're still going to come up hollow. Why? Because you ain't going to come up with anything substantial until you come to the truth of things. And I'm here to tell you the truth of things is the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? Plain and simple. He is the way to the creator of all things. And you go to the creator of all things and be right with him, and suddenly the peace and the fulfillment and the purpose comes to you. And everything appears different. The sky is a little bluer. The grass is a little greener. And in spite of everything that might be going on around you, in spite of all kinds of civil unrest, you can walk through that with your head up and your chest out in peace and harmony, knowing that God's got your back because of your faith in him. There's my preaching. Best part of what I do, right? Best part of what I do. I probably scare 20 people away when I do that. You come back and listen. This will be up on YouTube. You can always go back and see it again. It's One Cowboy Under God. YouTube, One Cowboy Under God. I post this stuff up there. Because why? When I'm playing guitar, this is my right hand. This is my left hand. When I do the live video, it mirrors me and makes everything look backwards. Okay? I am not lefty, I am righty. So anyway, where was I? Where was I with stuff? More music. Oh, here's what I didn't play. You know, I was going to talk about, well, I started talking about the idea of, you know, when you're criminally oriented in this society, you get looked at like a criminal, you get treated like a criminal. You feel as if you're a criminal. You know you are. And you become rebellious, you become opposed to the law, you become opposed to the police, you become opposed to the government, you become opposed to the Constitution of the nation. You become a complete rebel because you're criminal. I mean, what was it like to be a criminal when I was a kid, right? My criminality begins with liquor and drugs, right? I was not allowed at my age to be involved with liquor and drugs, but that was exactly the core of my life. Those were the things that really mattered to me. And when I was involved with that stuff, it was on me to get my hands on it. I couldn't go to my mother and say, hey, Mom, give me 20 bucks, I need to get a bag of weed. Or, Ma, could you go get me some pot? It didn't work like that, obviously, right? I had to somehow come up with a way to get it. And there were times where I did things to get some drugs, you know. I broke into houses. I stole people's liquor. I stole money. I stole things to sell, you know. Criminality. Am I proud of it? No, I don't talk about this much, but it's a fact, all right? Let's talk about the truth of things. I was criminal in what I did, not just in the use of drugs and alcohol as a child, but now to get things to keep that party going, I started to do things that were even against my own morality. I did not think it right to go steal somebody else's stuff. I did not think it right to invade somebody else's home. But I did. I did that stuff. You know, and for some of us as we get older, that magnifies. The criminality becomes great. You know, I found myself in a position ultimately out in California where to keep the party going, I was going to have to get in with organized crime, running drugs out of Mexico up into California, and starting out as a guard of a drug house where I sat in the foyer of this place strapped with a gun, and if the cops showed up, it was my job to shoot them dead on sight. I decided against that, you know. The angel of my better nature said, get away from this. Get away from this and make a new start. This is crazy, right? Thankfully, because that's no way to live. And then people can get into other things, obviously, you know. The girls become prostitutes to keep the cocaine and the crack coming in, right? So, you know, the criminality just kind of webs out. It fractures out like a broken windshield and just becomes more and more and more in our lives when we start with one little thing, you know. We decide a lifestyle, and then it takes all kinds of crime to perpetuate that lifestyle. And then you're enemy with the cops, right? And it's sad. It got me all kind of reflective and introspective and retrospective and just thinking about the ass I was. in so many regards when I was young. The things that I did, you know. You can make amends with people, but that don't make it right. There's always going to be that part that I know between God and myself that I know. Now, I know He's forgiven me for that stuff. But I know what sin looks like, how it operates inside of me and outside of me. I've learned. I'm forgiven, but it's not forgotten. Right? It's not forgotten. It's important to know these things. Time is getting on. But I had another song in my head this week. Kind of came about, and I figured out how to play it a little bit. I stumbled over this part. Let me give it a whirl. See if you can recognize it. Not bad. I didn't stumble like I normally do. Jersey for you all. If you recognize it, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. Not a big fan of Bon Jovi, never was. That song kind of always sort of appealed to me. I thought that, and I think that someday I will rework it, change some of the words so it makes a little bit more sense. I don't want to get into all that, but I got an idea of reworking that song into something that's seriously Western, not pretend Western, right? There's a lot of 80s stuff in that song. 80s. I don't like the 80s. I never liked the 80s. We had a lot of fun, but it was an ugly time. It was just an ugly time in the history. The music sucked. There was some potential out there. The 90s broke it all open. So, yeah, a couple songs, a couple of words. It's a Saturday. I've got a lot of things on my mind other than all this civil unrest. I've got so much to do this weekend, you know. I'm looking to get some civil rest is what I'm looking to do, but it ain't there. It ain't happening. We started to build a fence last weekend. There was a lot of the post hole digging with this black clay. You know, it's a two-man job or a man and a woman job. What I had to do was I'd go down there with the post hole, twist it together, rip that clay out of the ground, and then I would have to open the post hole digger, lay it over on the wheelbarrow, and Carol would have to go. Little connection issue, I'm sorry. Carol would have to go with the clay, with the crowbar at the clay to scrape it off of the post hole digger. So it's just like you do one and put it over. You know, like every little scoopful of clay you pull out, it was like a minute. And it just takes forever, you know. And I dug, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 holes Saturday and Sunday. I ached on Monday for real, you know, just like various parts of my body hurt from all that work. We're going down 2 foot plus, but it's just clay and clay and clay. Some of the holes were butt up like against the foundation of the house, butt up against the old fence in the back. And there ended up being 2 holes in one. You know, if you know anything about digging post holes, you can't go straight down when you butt up against something. So it was really more like digging 8 holes. And then during the week, we took a little time to start kind of laying out the structure of the fence, and we did a section of it. It looks cool. It's coming out good, but I come home from work too tired just every night this week. I ain't been sleeping great. You know, I've been sleeping enough hours, but I've been having interrupted, having to get up and go to the bathroom. I heard something, I get up and check on it. and just whatever. Not sleeping great, not having a lot of restful sleep. So I come home from work tired, and I had plans. I figure maybe 3 nights this week, go out and just put up all the materials that we have. It's really at the easy part, and measure a little bit, tack it in, slap it up and move along. That's where we're at. I'm not going to be busting my hump. It's going to be hot. It's going to be very hot today, and but I'm going to do as much as I can with that. And I've also got grass to mow. We got good healthy grass here, St. Augustine's type. Love that grass, but this time of the year it grows like a forest, grows like a jungle. We've had a lot of rain in the spring. Now it's starting to come into dry season, which is good. We look at the weather for the week ahead, and you see nothing but sunshine and upper 90s and low 100 temperatures. You're there. It become official summertime. I mean, springtime is like summertime everywhere else in Texas, but when the summer actually hits here, you're talking 100 degrees and no rain. The wind goes away, so I could go out on the kayak now and fish, but the fishing dries up too with the heat. I got to go out deeper and deeper and deeper. I got to get into like 32 foot of water to catch a dang catfish, but it's doable. You're not going to come back with 20 fish, but you come back with 5 or 6, and that's enough to feed this house, a meal, but it's enough. It's worth the bother. So we'll be doing more of that. In fact, the fence that we're building now is really a fence to put our kayaks in. Right? We're extending our backyard up front a little bit, and then kind of making a housing for the kayaks to rest, so we can get quick load and unload. I'm going to build up a gate. That's probably tomorrow's job if everything goes right. That opens up right to our driveway. So we back a truck up there, open a gate, load the kayaks up. Right now we've got to take the kayaks all the way around the property to get them up to the trucks. That's a pain in the butt. It kind of makes you not want to even bother. You want everything to be as convenient and as efficient as you can do. But and in this neighborhood, I can't load up the night before. That's what I used to do when I was up in Wiley. I could trust that my kayak would still be in the back of it would be in the truck bed if I loaded it up the night before. So all I had to do was get up at 4 a.m., hit the shower, whatever, have a cup of coffee, get in the truck and go, and make sure that I was there to watch the sun come up on the lake, right? That would be my time to start on a kayak. You have to have a lighting system on it otherwise. I did, but I didn't use it all that frequently. I would just get out there at sun up and start fishing, But it was a lot easier to do if I could load up everything the night before. And I can't do that in this neighborhood. We live in the city. I don't expect the kayak to be there. Somebody's going to come by, see it, and take it. So we have to keep it pinned up in the back. And this is what we're doing. We're building a fence to do that, and then we're going to replicate the fence on this side of the yard eventually, and then work it all the way around back in sections. It's going to take a little time, but I'm doing it myself with Kara's help and with Oren's help. Oren's my step boy, good dude, good young man, and he's very helpful around here. And with the 3 of us, it ain't so bad to do. I can do it myself, outside of the post hole digging. It ain't that laborious. And when I started doing it, I was doing it myself. Post hole, I'd come out and slam it onto some concrete. Then I would get the crowbar and scrape all the clay off of it, put the crowbar down, end the hole again. It'd take forever and ever and ever. A lot of work, a lot of extra work, but you get what you get wherever you are. I can tell you about post hole digging out in the Appalachians, both in Jersey and down in Tennessee. I work post holes in both of those environments. It's really the same. You get in there a little bit, you're hitting rocks, right? Because it's hills. Hills are made of rock. So the dirt don't stick to the post hole digger like it does here in the clay, like it did in Georgia. They got the red clay over there. We got the black clay here in this part. There's red clay down south, I think, a little bit of here, or maybe out east, or both. But we got the black clay in this part. It sticks. In the Appalachians, it don't stick, but you'll be clanking. Now, sparks be flying because you're hitting shale and slate and whatever's under there. Your rock of choice, and that does something different. Like I said, I had all kinds of pains, aches and stuff from the post hole digging, but they were different kind. They were all muscular. Even my hands, even the muscles in my hand. I couldn't play guitar for like 3 or 4 days because my hands were swelled up. Like the muscles in my fingers were hit a different way, and they swelled up. My fingers became like logs, and I know what it feels like to have muscles that need to heal, right? From all the working out I did, and that was a muscular pain, which is cool. Now my fingers are a little bit stronger than they were 2 weeks ago, but maybe not for playing guitar so much, but for anything else. But anyway, out east in the mountains, when you're using a post hole digger and you're clanking in the stone all the time, that's it's a shock. You don't get that shock in the clay. It's just clay. But there's a shock effect when you hit something that ain't given, and it goes up into your bones and your joints. So you get a different kind of pain working up there. For whatever that's worth, I'm just telling you, I know both. I've dug fence hole posts in a lot of different places in my life. And there's nothing fun about that. I remember when I was buying that thing, I was in a Home Depot. I think it was a Home Depot. I went and got a new fence post digger. And every aisle I walked past, there'd be some old dude who go, oh, yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. Oh, that looks like a lot of fun. It's like what I get at the post office, Oh, that's a never-ending job, because the people are slobs and I got to pick up after them, Customers come in, yep, that's a battle you'll never win. Well, yeah, clearly because you're a person that never stops being a pig, but that's a different story, right? Don't get me started with that. I'm in a good mood otherwise. I don't want to think about work. My good mood comes from, hey, I got a good night's sleep on Friday coming into Saturday, and then it's weekend. I got everything to look forward to. Even the work that I got to do. I look forward to the work that I do here at home more so than the work that I do on that dang job. Because here at home, what I do is going to be lasting. This fence is going to be up for a while. Maybe as long as I'm here, or maybe longer, right? Probably have to patch it up. I mean, we went cheap. I'm poor, so I had to go the cheapest route possible. I don't need to get into details of that. I'll post some pictures of it when I get it up and done, You'll see it. You'll see it if you're looking. So anyway, that's probably about it. I've probably been doing this for about an hour. I forgot to set what time I started. I had some other songs to play here, but I don't think so. I think I talked about enough. I hope you all have a pretty good day. I'm just going to go out with what I went out with last week, something I've been working on, and I'm just going to work on it here every week a little bit. I'll just play a little bit until another chord jumps into me or whatever, and we'll just make something out of it. Now, how did it go? I don't know. I need a chord for right there in this song, this progression. So I'm going, this is like a B minor and a F sharp minor, kind of hybrid. And I go into this G. And I need something else. That's it, A. There we go. Thanks for your help. So that's what I was going to go out with. I'm having a good time just strumming around, and picking out all the detailed notes like I've been doing more and more of. I come in strumming, I do a little southwestern feel thing. I think I'll go out with that. Just add a little extra credit, a little bonus material. Get all fired up and go work. Ready? Starts a little somber, right? My southwestern music that I'm developing. Bear with me. We're getting there. You're walking through the desert. You got a big old 45 hanging off your hip. Everything's dusty. It's hot. The sun is burning down. You're walking, and you're walking. You come around a bend. And all of a sudden a wild Mustang comes out in front of you. He said, "Come on, get on." Yeah. All right. I'm all hot and sweaty now, ready to go bust it. Y'all have a good Saturday. We'll see you next time. Adios.